What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about swapping mains in BFA. So you've decided to do it. You decided to swap your main. You're tired of your main, or maybe you just want something brand new in your life. So you decided to swap over to, like, let's say a warlock, because that's what everyone is swapping over to in BFA right now. You're going to be a warlock. You're going to main a warlock. You're going to be the best warlock there ever was. You're going to be the top DPS in your team. You're going to do all the shiny rotations. You're going to have a great time. But realistically, when you're trying to swap to a new main, there's a lot of processes that you need to go through in order to do that properly. I mean, you can swap a main and just have fun and enjoy your time in a more chill environment, but if you're trying to be a really good raider and a really good raid team, there's a large process you need to go through in order to make sure you're the most effective player that you can possibly be come next expansion. Whether you're going into more serious raiding or not, you still need to do a lot of research. The most important thing whenever you're picking anything or going to consider anything is researching whatever you're interested in. Say if you're interested in playing a warlock, you're going to want to know a lot about the warlock. You're going to want to know what the warlock is. What's its playstyle like? Do people have fun playing this? Is the general feeling of this class enjoyable by the people who play them? And that's something that when you first step in to this realm of swapping what class you're comfortable with to a class you're not comfortable with, you want to make sure that the swap is meaningful. Make sure that whatever you're picking is something that has a lot of depth to it. Make sure it's something that you think you're going to have a lot of fun with. It has to be, above all else, something you're going to find thematically pleasing and just visually stunning. Something that you're going to have a lot of fun going back to no matter what. Even if your rotation's a little off or it's not as enjoyable, you want to enjoy at least looking and seeing what the class is doing. Say, well, I'm doing crazy chaos bolts, therefore I really like this class because it's really flashy and cool. Even if the rotation feels a little bit less than I wanted, you still get something out of the class more so than just the gameplay style. And you need to be able to accept that no matter what happens to your class later on down the line. The less dependent you are on the playstyle specifically, the more you like the actual design of the class itself, the less of an issue it'll be whenever you have to take class talents that you dislike or abilities that you don't like at the class toolkit whenever it comes to raiding in a more serious raiding environment. If you like the way that it plays or like the way that it looks, then it won't really matter if you have to take a Soulfire attack for your Destruction Warlock or if you have to take another ability that you dislike. So now you've decided to actually try out the Warlock. Let's give it a test run. So before you do anything, before you boost, before you go and level it, the first thing I think you should do is make a class trial. One of the class trials you can make just easily by going to your login screen, creating a new character, and clicking the class trial button at the top, and just making that character and just playing around with it for a few hours, just seeing how the class plays, and really trying to get an understanding of exactly what you're getting into before you do anything else. This is what we call the testing out period. For people like me specifically, I have one of every class, so I can just go and play it whenever I want to. But for people who probably have not played the class, or maybe they're new to the game, this is a really good way for you to get into the class and really get interested and really understand how to play it before you ever spend any money, before you ever sink any time into it. You can just understand whether that's going to be a good choice for you or not. Now, once you've tested out your character and you've either boosted it or leveled it through the original way, just by leveling up your class through the original content from vanilla up to the max area where we're at right now, you can now, as you've got your character up to max level, you need to gear it up. The first thing you need to do is make sure you gear it up. You've seen how the playstyle plays, you understand how it plays, you enjoy it. Now it's time for you to get some gear, because honestly, if you don't do good damage and you're at low gear, and it's going to feel demoralizing, it's also going to make it easier for you if you're leveling in the new expansion to have a character at max level with decent amount of gear, around 220, around 210, one of the two. And once you're at that level, you're going to feel comfortable and you're going to feel strong in that class. Whenever the launch hits, you're not going to feel weak compared to other people who just maybe boosted a character and didn't do much with it. It's going to feel really nice to go into the next expansion and actually have some loot under the table and ready for you. You can do that very easily now with World Quest and the War of Thorn campaign. If you're new and you're interested in really gearing up, the first thing I'd suggest you to do is to honestly do all the quests in Argus and get that done with and unlock those world quests, because the gear there is still viable. But a lot of really good gear comes now from the War of Thorns campaign, where you are either Alliance leading it out with Malfurion, or you're leading it out with Sylvanas on the Horde side, and you're going against each other leading up to the story that is going to be in BFA and the reason why we're in conflict with each other. And the daily quests that you unlock after completing that are very significant and will help you out a lot when you're trying to gear up for the next expansion. So now at this point, if you haven't already, researching is still an important aspect of what you need to continue with. You've finished your gearing part. You've finished all that. You've researched, as in you've looked up the class, you've seen how people play it, you think it's fun, it looks interesting, but you haven't really researched. What I mean by research, I mean going in and figuring out the rotations, figuring out how the class works, figuring out how the talents work, figuring out what's best for your class, figure out how every little bit of the class is supposed to interact with each other. And you need to do that by going to your class Discord, going to fan sites, going to YouTube, searching for videos that are advanced guides or maybe just more basic guides depending on what your skill level is. If you're looking for more of a basic guide, you probably are in a more chill guild, more chill environment. If you're looking for more of an advanced guide, you're probably in a more advanced guild, more advanced progression, and that's probably something you should look for, is these different guides. Now, I've done an entire discussion on how to manage a class, because managing a class is an extremely important thing to your role as a druid, your role as a warlock, your role as a warrior. You are not just that warrior who plays Fury, you are that warrior who plays everything, right? It makes you more interesting to the masses, to the guilds who are looking for raiders. They want people who can be flexible, they want people who are willing to swap when they need to swap, not someone who just plays a certain spec and sticks with it. You want to be able to very easily swap when you need to swap. But besides that, you can go look at that video if you want. Besides that, we want you to know what you're doing on that class specifically, and what, if you have to do it, and it's what I do, is I go on my class Discord and I find what my class Discord is. I go look for it and I type in I need help, or I type in a question that I have specifically about the class. I've looked at Icy Veins maybe, and I've found the rotation, but the rotation doesn't tell you everything on Icy Veins. You don't really know what's going on until you have a real in-depth discussion with someone who actually understands the class better than you do. And the lovingly great thing about the WoW community when it comes to this is that most people want to share their information. They want to spread that knowledge around. They want to show you what they know because they find it interesting, and it's interesting that someone finds it interesting what they love, so they're willing to sit down and talk to you. I mean, I've never been turned down, and I've played several classes and I've asked many questions, and I'm telling you, people really love to talk to you about what they're good at and what's best for your spec. Now you finally understand what's best for your spec, you understand what everyone is telling you, you get what the rotation is, you really have a grasp on it. Now what you need to do is put it into practice. You need to practice and practice and practice. Now, I forget who told me this, but someone once told me that the most important thing, the thing that sets you apart from someone who is way better than you, is practice. Hours and hours of practice. Now, when you first pick up something, the way to learn something new is to just hammer out hours and hours of practice immediately. So as soon as you pick that class and as soon as you understand the rotation, you hit that training dummy consistently for a couple hours that day alone. You just knock it out that day. You really get a hang of it. You really beat it into your head. And after a while, muscle memory starts to take hold of what you've been doing. Your muscles and your fingers really get an idea of how you've been doing that rotation. Something that used to be really foreign to you becomes really attached to you after a few hours of playing with it. It's just the same way you look at key bindings. If you finally key bind your keys more than just the 1 through equals, if you start using things like TF, GH, GHB, then you start, after a while of using it, feel second nature to you. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here by putting a lot of effort into working your fingers in the same rotation over and over again. It's so that later on, whenever you are in a raid environment or a dungeon environment, your rotation isn't what you're worried about because you're so used to doing it. But now that you've practiced that entire day, right, you took a whole lot of time out to practice that day, what you need to do now is not practice as hard anymore, but practice more consistently. So now, every day for the next week or so, you're going to hop on twice during that day, and you're going to do the rotation for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. Do the rotation for 30 minutes to an hour every day, twice a day. And once you've done that for a week or two, you're going to have a really good understanding of how to do your rotation and really understand where your place is as a DPS, as a tank, as a healer. This is obviously more suited for DPS, but you can also apply this to healing, and you can also apply this to tanking. Inevitably, everything is a priority system. Every DPS spec is a priority system. There might be a rotation involved, but more likely than not, it's a priority system in which you prioritize certain keys over other keys. And with every spec in the game, you can pretty much do the same thing. You might need different target dummies, you might need different environments, you might need to go do some 5-man contents to get a better idea of what your rotation should be, but realistically, it's just hours of like extremely focused practice, and the more focused your practice is, the better you will do at that. Not just doing world content for fun, not just going out and like doing a few daily quests, not just going and doing a random heroic. Actually sitting down and focusing on what your rotation should be and what your priority should be is the first and most important thing when it comes to getting better at something. But overall, guys, what really matters is what you like and what you enjoy, and it's not as serious as it needs to be. It can be serious if you're into being serious. If you're not, then just do what you want to do. Have fun. Enjoy what you want to enjoy, and hopefully some of the tips on this list helped you, whether you're casual or whether you're serious. Just go through and enjoy your time in the next expansion, and I hope to see you all guys in the comments down below, and I hope to see you guys in the next expansion. I hope you guys have a great day, and if I didn't get to link your comments in the latest videos, which I think I've been skipping out on, I'm sorry about that, but here are some of the comments I liked the most, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next comments that we have available. I cannot wait to have another conversation with you guys, and hopefully this video does well, and I hope you guys have a great day. And I have been AmShady, I have been Amouranth, I have been everything that I am, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.